Have you ever felt overwhelmed by life's endless stream of pressures? When faced with unexpected setbacks, criticism, or disappointments, how often do you find yourself losing your calm or reacting impulsively? In today's fast-paced world, stress seems to come from every direction. Work deadlines pile up, relationships hit rough patches, and even our own minds can be sources of anxiety. But what if there was a way to meet these challenges with calm resilience, to hold steady, even in the storm? In this video, we'll dive into 10 essential lessons from Stoicism that can help you build resilience, regain control over your reactions, and face life's obstacles with a sense of peace and purpose. Let's explore how these ancient teachings can provide a blueprint for staying calm, no matter what life throws your way. Lesson 1. Finding strength in failure. In life, failure is inevitable. We will face setbacks, make mistakes, and encounter challenges that test our patience, resolve, and self-belief. While most of us try to avoid failure at all costs, Stoicism, a timeless philosophy rooted in resilience and inner strength, teaches us that adversity isn't something to fear. Instead, it's an opportunity for growth. From a Stoic perspective, every failure, setback, and hardship offers a lesson, a chance to improve, and a path to becoming our best selves. The Stoic approach to adversity, embracing obstacles. The Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome, such as Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, believe that adversity shapes character and strengthens the spirit. Rather than trying to avoid challenges, Stoics teach us to embrace them, seeing them as essential to personal development. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This quote embodies the Stoic belief that obstacles are not barriers, but pathways to improvement. They force us to dig deeper, adapt, and rise above our limitations. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you faced a significant challenge? Perhaps it was a project that fell apart, a career setback, or a relationship that didn't work out. In that moment, it's natural to feel disappointed or even defeated. But from a Stoic perspective, this is a unique opportunity to learn, adapt, and evolve. The adversity that initially appears to be a wall blocking our path can become a bridge to greater resilience, wisdom, and self-knowledge. Failure as a mirror, reflecting on our weaknesses and strengths. One of the greatest values of failure is its ability to reveal both our strengths and our weaknesses. When we succeed, it's easy to become complacent, to believe we have everything figured out. But when we fail, we are forced to confront the gaps in our knowledge, the flaws in our strategy, or even our emotional responses to setbacks. This process of self-reflection, a cornerstone of Stoic practice, is invaluable. For instance, consider a professional athlete who suffers a major injury. They might feel that all their hard work has been lost, but injury gives them the chance to reevaluate their strengths and weaknesses. The athlete may take this time to focus on other aspects of their fitness, mental resilience, or understanding of the sport. In many cases, athletes come back stronger and more versatile, having turned a painful setback into a period of self-improvement. This mirrors the Stoic approach, using failure as a mirror to reflect on areas that need growth, thereby turning a negative into a positive. Learning emotional control through failure. Failures often bring out intense emotions: anger, frustration, sadness, or fear. Stoicism teaches us not to suppress these emotions, but to observe and manage them. Rather than reacting impulsively, Stoics encourage us to take a step back, understand our feelings, and approach the situation with a clear mind. By practicing emotional control, we learn to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, a skill that's crucial in every aspect of life. Seneca, another renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This reflects the Stoic belief that emotional resilience is developed through experience and hardship. When we face failure and practice managing our emotional response, we build the strength to face future challenges with greater calm and composure. In time, we may even find that the things that once provoked us no longer have the same effect. Turning setbacks into strength. J.K. Rowling and the journey from rejection to resilience. Before achieving global success with the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling faced multiple rejections from publishers and lived in near poverty. She described these years as some of the hardest of her life. However, Rowling later acknowledged that her failures were necessary for her growth. She reflected, "Failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me." Her story illustrates the Stoic approach to failure. Instead of letting rejection define her, she used it to sharpen her focus and fortify her commitment to her passion. Thomas Edison's road to innovation. Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific inventors in history, famously failed thousands of times before creating a functioning light bulb. When asked about his many unsuccessful attempts, Edison responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This perspective is a perfect embodiment of the Stoic principle that failure is a necessary part of the journey to success. Edison's setbacks didn't deter him, they simply redirected his approach. His ability to reframe failure as part of the learning process helped him persist and ultimately revolutionize the world of technology. Oprah Winfrey's rise above hardship. Oprah Winfrey, who is now one of the most influential media personalities in the world, faced numerous challenges in her early life, including a difficult upbringing and professional setbacks. After being fired from her first television job, she could have easily given up. However, she chose to see her setback as an opportunity to refine her skills and find a path more aligned with her strengths. Oprah's story is a testament to the Stoic belief that adversity can help us discover our true purpose and potential. Understanding the Stoic approach to failure is one thing, applying it is another. Here are some practical ways to turn setbacks into strength. Reflect on the lessons. When you face a setback, take time to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Rather than dwelling on what went wrong, focus on how you can use the experience to improve. Practice self-compassion. Failure can be humbling, but remember that it's also part of being human. Forgive yourself, acknowledge the effort you put in, and commit to doing better next time. Break down the problem. Often, failure feels overwhelming because we see it as one big issue. Try breaking down the problem into smaller parts and addressing each one. This makes the situation feel more manageable and less daunting. Embrace the journey, not just the outcome. Stoicism teaches us to focus on the process, not just the end result. Appreciate the growth and resilience that come from facing challenges, rather than solely fixating on success. Visualize your response to setbacks. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, or the visualization of potential obstacles. By mentally preparing for setbacks, you'll be better equipped to handle them when they come. Strength through struggle. In the end, failure is a natural part of life's journey. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we learn to see these moments not as defeats, but as opportunities for growth. The Stoics remind us that we are stronger, wiser, and more resilient than we may realize. Adversity shapes us, teaching us valuable lessons about who we are and who we can become. So the next time life knocks you down, remember, failure is not the end. It's a step, a lesson, a chance to build resilience and strength. By facing challenges with a Stoic perspective, we can find not just strength in failure, but also purpose and peace in the journey itself. Lesson 2. Focus only on what you can control. Work deadlines pile up, relationships go through rough patches, and even our own minds can become our worst enemies, spiraling into worry and frustration. But what if we could adopt a mindset that brings calm in the face of these storms? Stoicism, an ancient philosophy known for its wisdom on resilience and inner strength, teaches us a powerful lesson. Focus only on what you can control. By shifting our attention from the external chaos to our own responses, we can find a sense of peace that endures through life's toughest moments. The Stoic wisdom of control. The Stoics, philosophers like Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, believe that our inner tranquility comes not from controlling external events, but from mastering our reactions to them. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most profound Stoic thinkers, famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." For Stoics, control lies not in changing or resisting the world, but in changing ourselves. This idea may seem simple, but it's deeply powerful. Imagine the energy we waste trying to manipulate things we have no influence over, other people's opinions, unforeseen changes at work, or even the weather. By fixating on what we cannot control, we increase our frustration and anxiety. However, when we start focusing on our responses, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we shift our perspective. We become more resilient, calm, and capable. When we try to control things outside our power, we set ourselves up for disappointment and stress. Consider the common scenario of stress at work. You may find yourself in a job where deadlines keep shifting, team dynamics fluctuate, or you constantly feel evaluated and judged. It's natural to feel frustrated or overwhelmed, but focusing on these external factors only heightens anxiety. Instead, a Stoic approach would be to shift your attention to what is within your control. Your effort, attitude, and focus. You might not be able to change the deadline, but you can choose how you approach the task. By setting small, manageable goals and focusing on doing your best in each moment, you bring a sense of accomplishment and calm to an otherwise chaotic situation. The stress caused by unmet expectations or shifting deadlines fades into the background as you prioritize what you can influence. The power of controlling our responses in relationships. Relationships, whether with friends, family, or colleagues, are another area where trying to control others often leads to frustration. Imagine a scenario where a close friend or family member has said or done something that upsets you. The instinctive reaction might be to try to change their behavior or force them to see your perspective. However, the reality is that we have no control over other people's actions or thoughts. Attempting to do so only leads to resentment, disappointment, and damaged relationships. The Stoic solution? Focus on your own response. Consider the following. Rather than reacting with anger or trying to change the person, ask yourself, what is within my control in this situation? You might choose to express your feelings calmly, set a boundary, or simply accept the behavior and let go. By focusing on your response, you create space for understanding and peace. You're no longer a prisoner to their behavior. Instead, you gain emotional freedom and the power to maintain your inner calm. This approach to relationships requires self-awareness and emotional control, but it's incredibly liberating. When we stop trying to control others, we free ourselves from frustration and cultivate more balanced, authentic connections. Let's look at the real-life scenario of how this mindset can transform our experience in challenging situations. Managing workplace stress. Let's say you're dealing with a particularly demanding boss who sets high expectations, often with little guidance or support. You may feel that your work is constantly under scrutiny and that no matter what you do, it's never enough. Many people in this situation would become overwhelmed, stressed, or even resentful, focusing on their boss's behavior and the work environment. However, from a Stoic perspective, your boss's expectations and behavior are outside your control. What you can control is your response. You might focus on managing your time effectively, communicating your needs assertively, or even developing skills that make you more resilient and capable in the workplace. Over time, this shift in focus can reduce your stress and increase your sense of accomplishment. While your boss's expectations might remain the same, you will feel more empowered and in control of how you handle the workload. Handling personal disappointments. Imagine a situation where a friend cancels plans at the last minute or forgets an important commitment. It's easy to feel hurt, disappointed, or even frustrated. Many people would react by confronting the friend, trying to make them feel guilty, or emphasizing how they should behave. The Stoic approach here would be to accept that we can't control our friend's actions. Instead, we can control how we respond. You might choose to share your feelings calmly or decide to adjust your expectations, understanding that people aren't always perfect. By focusing on your own response, you sidestep the cycle of frustration and build a stronger, more understanding relationship. You choose not to let another person's actions disrupt your inner peace. Focusing only on what we can control is easier said than done, but Stoic practices can help strengthen this skill. Here are some Stoic-inspired techniques to integrate into daily life. Practice negative visualization. Imagine the potential obstacles or setbacks that could arise in your day, from minor inconveniences to larger disruptions. This practice, known as premeditatio malorum, allows you to mentally prepare yourself to accept these challenges calmly. Reframe your perspective. When facing a challenging situation, take a moment to ask yourself, what is within my control here? By actively identifying what you can influence, you shift from a reactive to a proactive mindset, focusing on solutions rather than frustrations. Observe, don't react. When emotions run high, try to pause and observe your feelings without judgment. Imagine your emotions are like clouds passing in the sky, temporary and ever-changing. By not reacting impulsively, you gain control over your response. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, reflect on a moment when you focused on what you could control and consider how it improved your experience. Over time, this practice reinforces your ability to stay calm in future situations. Set boundaries and accept limitations. Recognize when situations or people are beyond your control and set boundaries for your emotional energy. By accepting that some things will remain outside your influence, you conserve energy and strengthen your sense of inner peace. The Stoic focus on controlling our responses provides a profound gift: inner peace. By choosing to concentrate on what we can influence, we sidestep the frustrations and anxieties that come from trying to control the uncontrollable. This shift in focus cultivates resilience and equips us to face life's challenges with grace. Imagine going through a difficult day at work or a rough patch in a relationship and being able to remain centered, knowing that no matter how chaotic things get, your reaction is yours to choose. That's the power of Stoic philosophy. It helps us become the masters of our inner worlds. In embracing this philosophy, we gain the ability to maintain our calm and compassion, even when others or situations challenge us. And in doing so, we not only find peace for ourselves, but also serve as a calming influence for those around us. Lesson 3. Cherish the present moment. Life is often filled with distractions, worries, and a relentless rush toward the next big thing. We frequently find ourselves either haunted by regrets of the past or consumed by anxieties about the future. But what if the key to peace and contentment lies in embracing the moment we have right now? This is a core tenet of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to focus on here and now. By letting go of the pull of the past and the grip of the future, Stoicism reminds us that true freedom and fulfillment come from fully experiencing and valuing the present. Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca emphasize the importance of the present moment. They believe that the past is unchangeable and the future unpredictable. In their view, only the present moment is within our control, and it is the only time we truly possess. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He meant that our peace and happiness hinge on focusing on the current moment, resisting the urge to dwell on what's beyond our control. Why is this important? The Stoics understood that living in the present reduces suffering. Regret and guilt often stem from past events we cannot alter, while anxiety and stress arise from imagining an uncertain future. By releasing ourselves from these mental traps, we create space for calm, resilience, and true enjoyment of life. Living in the present isn't about ignoring the past or neglecting future planning. It's about recognizing that the only moment where we have agency is now. Despite knowing the value of the present, staying anchored in it can feel elusive. Our minds are constantly pulled in different directions, reminding us of past mistakes, pushing us to anticipate future challenges. In a world where productivity and forward thinking are emphasized, it's easy to feel guilty about slowing down to savor the present. Yet, this is precisely what the Stoics encourage us to do. Imagine being at a family dinner or spending a quiet evening at home, only to find your mind drifting to unfinished work or upcoming obligations. You're physically present, but mentally, you're somewhere else. The cost of this mental drift is that we lose the ability to fully experience life as it unfolds. We lose the joy, the subtleties, and the connections that make life rich and meaningful. When we're disconnected from the present, we rob ourselves of the very moments that bring fulfillment. Living in the present requires practice, but it is achievable. Here are some practical tips inspired by Stoicism to help you remain grounded in the here and now. Practice mindful awareness. Mindfulness is about bringing full attention to the current moment without judgment. Throughout the day, practice tuning into what you're doing, whether it's eating, working, or spending time with loved ones. Take a few deep breaths, notice your surroundings, and fully immerse yourself in the experience. This doesn't have to be a long process. Even a few seconds of conscious focus can pull you back to the present. Mindfulness isn't just a concept. It's a skill that, when practiced regularly, improves focus and reduces stress. You might start by setting aside a few minutes each day to focus on your breathing, allowing yourself to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to pull yourself into the present moment in any situation. Embrace each task as its own purpose. Epictetus taught that each task, no matter how small, deserves our full attention. In modern life, we often multitask, thinking it makes us more efficient. However, multitasking fragments our focus, making it harder to be present. Try dedicating your full attention to one task at a time, treating it as if it were the most important thing you could do. For example, if you're washing dishes, notice the feel of the water, the sounds, and the rhythm of the task. If you're writing an email, put all your attention into the words and thoughts you're crafting. When we treat each activity with presence and care, we find greater satisfaction in even the simplest tasks, transforming mundane moments into opportunities for calm and fulfillment. Let go of the need for constant control. One of the primary reasons we worry about the future is our desire for control. We want to ensure everything goes our way, but life is full of surprises and uncertainties. Stoicism encourages us to accept what we cannot control and focus on our responses instead. When you feel anxiety about future outcomes, remind yourself of what's in your power: your thoughts, actions, and reactions. A helpful phrase from Stoic practice is amor fati, or love of fate. It's about accepting life as it unfolds, including its challenges. By focusing on what you can influence and releasing the need for total control, you can ground yourself in the present moment, knowing that whatever happens, you'll respond to it with grace and strength. Engage in reflection, not rumination. Reflecting on the past can be valuable for learning, but dwelling on it can trap us in regret. Stoicism suggests practicing a healthy form of reflection by viewing past mistakes or experiences with objectivity. Instead of ruminating on what went wrong, look at what you learned and how it has shaped you. When you find yourself caught in a cycle of regret, pause and shift your focus. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Acknowledge the past's impact on who you are today, then let it go. Remember, the past is a teacher, not a jailer. This practice allows you to appreciate how far you've come while staying engaged with the present. Develop a daily ritual of gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful tool for anchoring ourselves in the present. When we practice gratitude, we're reminded of the good things that exist here and now. Consider ending your day with a brief reflection on 3 things you're grateful for. These could be as simple as a warm meal, a conversation with a friend, or a quiet moment to yourself. By regularly practicing gratitude, you train your mind to recognize and savor positive experiences in the present, which in turn enhances your overall sense of well-being. The Stoics believed that appreciating what we have now fosters a sense of contentment and fulfillment, helping us focus less on what we lack and more on what we possess. The Stoics remind us that each moment we have is fleeting. Time is like a river, Marcus Aurelius wrote, and a violent stream, for as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away, and another comes in its place, and this will be carried away too. Life flows swiftly, and if we spend it clinging to the past or fearing the future, we miss the very essence of living. Take a breath, look around, and ask yourself, what can I experience right now? In that moment, you'll find the gift of presence. A simple yet transformative way to live fully, with a heart grounded in gratitude and a mind at peace. Embracing the present is a journey that requires intention and practice. It invites us to let go of the burdens of the past and the weight of the future, allowing us to savor each moment as it arrives. By focusing on the here and now, we discover a profound peace that the Stoics believe to be the key to a meaningful life. Lesson 4: The power of daily self-reflection. We often move from one task to another, from one day to the next, without truly pausing to reflect on our thoughts, actions, or intentions. We carry the weight of unresolved thoughts, unlearned lessons, and missed opportunities for growth. Imagine if, instead, we took just a few moments each day to pause, look inward, and reflect on our experiences and behavior. This simple, mindful practice is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy known as self-reflection. The Stoics believe that taking time daily to reflect on one's actions and thoughts leads not only to a deeper understanding of oneself, but also to a life of greater wisdom, resilience, and purpose. The ancient Stoic philosophers, including figures like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, emphasized the value of daily self-reflection as a tool for self-improvement. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, was known to keep a journal where he wrote down his reflections, concerns, and lessons learned from each day. These writings, later compiled into meditations, reveal a powerful habit of self-examination. In it, he questioned his actions, evaluated his intentions, and reminded himself of his moral and ethical principles. For the Stoics, self-reflection wasn't just about analyzing the day's events, it was about aligning one's actions with personal values and principles. Epictetus urged his followers to examine each day's events, saying, "What ailment of yours have you cured today? What failing have you resisted? Where can you show improvement?" These questions encourage us to think critically about how we respond to challenges, how we treat others, and whether we are progressing toward our goals. This process is not about being harsh with ourselves, but rather about cultivating greater awareness and understanding. It's easy to fall into a routine of reacting impulsively, getting swept up by stress, or letting emotions dictate our actions. We lose sight of our own behavior, and over time, we may even lose a sense of who we are and what truly matters to us. Self-reflection is a way to reclaim that connection with ourselves. When we don't pause to reflect, we risk becoming trapped in habits that don't serve us, relationships that drain us, and mindsets that hold us back. The Stoics understood this danger, and that's why they practiced self-reflection daily, seeing it as essential for self-growth and wisdom. By taking time to look inward, we gain insights that help us make conscious choices, live more authentically, and align our lives with our values. Just a few minutes each day can bring remarkable clarity and personal growth. Set aside a quiet time. Choose a time each day to dedicate to self-reflection. This could be in the evening before bed, in the morning before you start your day, or even during a lunch break. The key is consistency. Creating a ritual around this time can help make it a habit. During this time, find a quiet place where you can be alone with your thoughts. Avoid distractions, put away your phone, and take a few deep breaths to center yourself. Reflect on your actions and reactions. Once settled, start by reflecting on your actions and reactions from the day. Ask yourself questions like, what moments stood out to me today? Was there a situation where I felt challenged? How did I respond? Did my actions align with my values? Was I patient, kind, and understanding, or did I react impulsively? The goal here is not to judge yourself harshly, but to observe patterns and recognize areas where you might want to improve. By examining how you responded to different situations, you begin to understand your own motivations and behaviors better. For instance, if you lost patience with a colleague or friend, ask yourself why. What triggered that reaction? This awareness opens the door to change. Acknowledge your strengths and wins. Self-reflection isn't just about identifying mistakes or shortcomings. It's also a chance to acknowledge your strengths and celebrate your progress. We often overlook the positive aspects of ourselves, but recognizing our strengths is essential for growth. Reflect on the things you did well that day. The moments where you showed resilience, kindness, or patience. For example, maybe you handled a difficult conversation with grace, took a small step toward a personal goal, or simply maintained a positive attitude despite challenges. By acknowledging these moments, you reinforce positive behaviors and build confidence in your ability to face life's challenges. Identify lessons and areas for growth. As you review your day, think about what you can learn from your experiences. Stoic self-reflection is ultimately about growth. Consider the following questions. What lesson can I take from today's experiences? Is there a habit or behavior I'd like to change? How can I apply today's insights to improve tomorrow? Sometimes these lessons are straightforward, like realizing the importance of patience or the value of listening more attentively. Other times they're more profound, such as recognizing patterns of self-doubt or understanding how fear affects your decisions. By identifying these lessons, you create a foundation for meaningful change. Set intentions for tomorrow. End your reflection by setting intentions for the next day. These intentions don't have to be grand goals. They can be small but meaningful steps toward improvement. For example, tomorrow I will practice patience with my loved ones. I will approach my work with a positive attitude. I will pause before reacting to stressful situations. Setting intentions helps solidify your reflections and gives you a purpose for the next day. The Stoics believed that progress is a continuous journey, and setting daily intentions keeps us focused on growth. Reflecting daily has transformed my own life in ways I couldn't have imagined. I used to move through each day on autopilot, reacting to situations without much thought. I didn't realize how my behaviors were affecting my happiness, relationships, and sense of purpose. But when I started incorporating daily self-reflection, things began to shift. I became more aware of how my actions aligned or didn't align with my values, and I started making conscious choices to improve. This practice taught me patience and helped me find peace even in difficult situations. I learned that self-reflection isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each day, I try to do a little better than the last. This journey has shown me the power of introspection and how even small moments of self-awareness can lead to profound changes in how I live. A journey of growth. The Stoics understood that wisdom and growth are achieved not through grand gestures, but through daily, mindful attention to our thoughts and actions. Self-reflection is a powerful tool for achieving that growth. By dedicating just a few minutes each day to look inward, we reconnect with ourselves, learn from our experiences, and set intentions for a better tomorrow. If you're ready to deepen your understanding of yourself and live more intentionally, consider adopting a daily self-reflection practice. It may feel small, but over time, this habit can lead to a richer, more meaningful life. Start tonight. Find a quiet space, review your day, and see what insights arise. In this simple practice, you'll discover the timeless wisdom of the Stoics and the transformative power of self-awareness. Lesson 5. Practicing negative visualization. We often hope for the best, but fear the worst, leaving us vulnerable to disappointment and stress. But what if there was a way to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience and calm? Enter premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization, a Stoic technique that invites us to mentally prepare for potential obstacles without allowing them to consume us. Rather than dwelling on our fears, this practice encourages us to confront them thoughtfully, equipping us with a sense of control and clarity that can transform the way we face life's trials. Negative visualization, a practice that originated with ancient Stoic philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, is not about pessimism or expecting the worst to happen. Instead, it's about imagining potential challenges and setbacks in a way that allows us to mentally and emotionally prepare for them. By visualizing possible obstacles, we reduce the power of fear over us, making it easier to respond with calm and resilience when faced with adversity. This technique may sound counterintuitive at first. Why should we think about negative outcomes if we want to stay positive? But the Stoics believe that true peace of mind comes not from avoiding the potential for hardship, but from accepting that hardship is an inevitable part of life. When we mentally prepare for life's ups and downs, we become less reactive, more resilient, and better equipped to handle whatever comes our way. The beauty of negative visualization lies in its power to reduce anxiety and strengthen our resolve. In modern society, we are often encouraged to think positive, but there's an unspoken danger in relying solely on optimism. When we focus only on positive outcomes, we risk being unprepared and overwhelmed when things don't go as planned. Negative visualization allows us to consider, what if it doesn't go perfectly, without succumbing to a sense of dread. By acknowledging that setbacks may occur, we are less likely to be blindsided by them, and we are better equipped to handle the emotional impact. Negative visualization also helps us develop gratitude. When we imagine the absence of something we cherish, be it our health, our relationships, or our comforts, we come to appreciate these things more deeply. This appreciation enriches our lives and makes us less likely to take the present moment for granted. In this way, practicing negative visualization doesn't just prepare us for hardship. It also helps us cultivate a mindset of appreciation and presence. Start small and focus on one area at a time. When beginning with negative visualization, it's helpful to start small. Rather than trying to imagine every possible setback at once, focus on one specific area. For instance, if you're concerned about a work project, ask yourself, what obstacles could arise that might make this project challenging? By narrowing your focus, you make the process less overwhelming and more manageable. Visualizing potential challenges doesn't mean obsessing over them. It's about calmly considering the possibilities. For example, you might think about the possibility of a delayed timeline, a disagreement with a colleague, or unforeseen technical difficulties. Mentally walking through these scenarios enables you to prepare without becoming fixated on negative outcomes. Picture how you would respond. After identifying potential obstacles, take a moment to visualize how you would respond if they were to occur. Imagine yourself handling the situation with calm, patience, and resilience. Think about the resources, strategies, or mental reminders you might need to navigate the obstacle effectively. This process allows you to rehearse your response so that if these challenges arise, you'll be better prepared to deal with them constructively. For example, if you're worried about a presentation not going as planned, imagine yourself staying composed, adapting your approach, or finding a way to engage the audience differently. This exercise isn't about expecting the worst, but about rehearsing the best version of yourself in the face of difficulty. When we mentally rehearse positive responses to negative situations, we build emotional resilience that can be invaluable in real-life scenarios. Acknowledge your emotions, but don't dwell on them. Negative visualization can bring up uncomfortable emotions, especially if we're thinking about situations that could impact our lives in significant ways. Rather than suppressing these emotions, acknowledge them. Feelings of worry, sadness, or discomfort are natural. By acknowledging them without judgment, you allow yourself to process these emotions without letting them control you. For example, if visualizing a health scare or a financial setback stirs up fear, recognize that feeling, but remind yourself that this visualization is just a mental exercise. You're not inviting these events into your life, but preparing yourself to face them calmly if they were ever to arise. Acknowledging emotions as temporary experiences helps us maintain balance, making it easier to let go of fear and focus on the practical steps we can take to stay resilient. Reflect on what you're grateful for. Once you've visualized potential challenges and acknowledged your emotional responses, take a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for in the present. Negative visualization is most powerful when it's paired with gratitude, because it highlights the value of what we have now. For instance, if you visualize the absence of good health, take a moment to appreciate your current well-being, your ability to move freely, or the simple joy of a healthy body. Gratitude serves as a gentle reminder that while hardships may come, we still have much to be thankful for. This dual approach of acknowledging potential loss while appreciating what we have brings balance to our perspective, helping us cultivate a peaceful and centered mind. Turn visualization into action. Finally, let your negative visualization inspire practical action. If visualizing a setback at work has highlighted areas where you need additional preparation or support, take steps to address those areas. If considering the potential for illness reminds you of the importance of your health, let that prompt you to prioritize self-care. The goal of negative visualization is not just to prepare mentally, but to make constructive changes in our lives. By using visualization as a tool for both preparation and action, we transform our anxieties into meaningful improvements, which can enhance our resilience and quality of life. Incorporating negative visualization into my own life has been both grounding and transformative. At first, the idea of thinking about potential hardships felt uncomfortable, even counterintuitive. I worried that focusing on negatives would make me more anxious. But as I practiced, I discovered that visualizing challenges didn't make me more fearful. It actually reduced my anxiety. By facing my fears in a controlled way, I became less afraid of them. Negative visualization helped me develop a sense of calm that I hadn't experienced before. Knowing that I could mentally prepare for setbacks, whether in work, health, or relationships, gave me a sense of inner strength and adaptability. And beyond preparation, this practice deepened my appreciation for the present. I learned to value the people and experiences in my life more deeply, understanding that they are not guaranteed and therefore incredibly precious. Lesson 6. Distinguishing between perception and reality. We often encounter challenges and situations that stir strong emotions. The way we interpret these events, our perception of them, can shape our reactions and impact our state of mind. But what if our interpretations are not entirely accurate? According to Stoic philosophy, there is a crucial distinction between perception and reality. The Stoics believe that many of our challenges are intensified not by the events themselves, but by the judgments we attach to them. By learning to separate our emotions and biases from the facts of a situation, we can cultivate clarity, make better decisions, and maintain a sense of inner calm. The Stoics believe that our suffering often stems not from the events themselves, but from the way we perceive them. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." In other words, the Stoics held that we have control over our perceptions, and by reevaluating them, we can shift our emotional responses and behaviors. This concept is powerful because it reminds us that while we may not control external events, we do have control over how we perceive and interpret them. By distinguishing between what is objectively true and what we feel or assume, we gain the freedom to approach challenges with greater focus and resilience. This practice, known as cognitive distancing, is essentially a form of mental discipline that teaches us to observe our thoughts without being consumed by them. Our minds have a natural tendency to distort reality, especially when emotions are involved. This can lead us to overreact, misunderstand others, and make impulsive decisions. Imagine receiving constructive criticism at work. If we perceive it as a personal attack, we may feel hurt or angry. However, if we view it as an opportunity to learn and improve, we're more likely to respond calmly and productively. The event itself hasn't changed, but our interpretation of it has, and this shift in perspective can dramatically affect how we feel and act. The problem with confusing perception with reality is that it traps us in a reactive state. We become prisoners of our assumptions, projecting fears, insecurities, or biases onto situations that may not warrant them. By learning to separate facts from feelings, we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional turmoil and make decisions based on reason rather than impulse. This approach doesn't mean we suppress our emotions. Rather, it helps us manage them constructively by grounding ourselves in what is true. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the practice of cognitive distancing, observing our thoughts and emotions from a neutral perspective. This practice involves stepping back mentally, examining our initial reactions, and questioning whether they are based on reality or perception. Pause and identify your reaction. The first step in cognitive distancing is to pause and recognize your initial reaction to a situation. When faced with a challenge or an emotionally charged event, stop for a moment and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And why am I feeling this way? This pause creates a mental space between the event and your reaction, giving you the opportunity to observe your thoughts without immediately acting on them. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, you might initially feel angry or disrespected. Recognizing this reaction allows you to observe it without judgment, creating room for a calmer response. Separate facts from feelings. Once you've identified your reaction, try to separate the facts from your feelings. Ask yourself, what actually happened? And what am I assuming or adding to the situation? Facts are objective and observable, while feelings are subjective and can be influenced by past experiences, biases, or insecurities. For instance, if a friend cancels plans last minute, you might feel disappointed and assume they don't value your time. However, the fact is simply that the friend canceled plans. The assumptions and feelings about their intentions are yours. By distinguishing these two, you reduce the likelihood of misinterpreting the situation and reacting based on emotions alone. Challenge your assumptions. After identifying your assumptions, question their validity. This step is crucial because our initial interpretations are often influenced by unconscious biases or emotional triggers. Ask yourself, is there another explanation? Or what evidence do I have to support this belief? For example, if a colleague gives you a brief reply in a meeting, you might interpret it as dismissive and feel slighted. But challenging this assumption could lead you to consider alternative explanations. They might be busy, stressed, or simply focused on the task at hand. By questioning your assumptions, you open your mind to other possibilities, allowing you to respond with empathy and patience rather than defensiveness. Reframe the situation. Once you've separated fact from perception and challenged any assumptions, try to reframe the situation. Reframing involves finding a constructive perspective that allows you to respond calmly and mindfully. For instance, if you feel disappointed by a canceled plan, reframe it as an opportunity to spend time with yourself or catch up on a personal project. Reframing isn't about denying your feelings. It's about choosing a perspective that serves your well-being. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control external events, we can control how we respond to them. Reframing gives us the power to turn obstacles into opportunities, strengthening our resilience and mental clarity. For me, learning to distinguish between perception and reality has been a transformative journey. I used to be highly reactive, often interpreting situations through a lens of personal bias. One day, after a friend canceled on me multiple times, I felt hurt and concluded they didn't care about our friendship. But reflecting on this feeling, I realized that my assumption was rooted in my own fear of rejection rather than their actual behavior. I reached out, expressed my feelings calmly, and discovered they were struggling with personal issues unrelated to me. This experience taught me that my perception was clouded by past insecurities, and it reminded me of the importance of distinguishing fact from emotion. By practicing cognitive distancing, I was able to address the issue without letting my assumptions escalate the situation. This shift not only saved our friendship, but also allowed me to approach future situations with greater clarity and understanding. Practicing cognitive distancing and distinguishing between perception and reality offers several profound benefits. First, it reduces impulsive reactions. When we separate fact from interpretation, we're less likely to act out of anger or fear, leading to more thoughtful and measured responses. Second, it improves our relationships by fostering understanding and empathy. When we don't assume the worst in others, we create space for open, honest communication. Moreover, this practice enhances emotional resilience. By learning to observe our emotions without being ruled by them, we become more adaptable and less affected by external events. Finally, it strengthens our focus and productivity. When we're not bogged down by emotional responses to imagined slights or misunderstandings, we can devote our energy to what truly matters. Lesson 7. Embracing life's uncertainty. Life in all its complexity is inherently unpredictable. From unexpected career shifts and sudden losses to unforeseen health changes, uncertainty is woven into the fabric of our existence. Yet we spend so much energy resisting this fact, seeking stability in a world where everything is subject to change. For many, this resistance to uncertainty is a source of ongoing anxiety and stress. But what if, instead of fighting it, we could learn to embrace it? This is the perspective of Stoic philosophy, which teaches that accepting uncertainty is not only possible but liberating. By adopting this approach, we can find inner peace and strength amidst life's constant ebbs and flows. The Stoics, including thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, believed that much of our suffering arises from trying to control the uncontrollable. They saw uncertainty not as something to fear, but as an essential part of life. Marcus Aurelius famously advised, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." In other words, the only certainty in life is change, and it's our perspective on this change that determines our experience. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, reactions, and actions, while accepting that we cannot control the external events that happen to us. This approach to life encourages us to be adaptable and resilient, viewing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats. By accepting uncertainty, we release ourselves from the mental burden of needing to predict or control every aspect of life. When we cling to the illusion of certainty, we create a fragile sense of peace that is easily shattered by unexpected events. For instance, if we build our happiness solely around a particular job, relationship, or lifestyle, any disruption to these areas can feel like a crisis. Our fixation on certainty often leads us to a place of constant worry, where we're preoccupied with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. By embracing uncertainty, we free ourselves from this cycle of anxiety. Accepting that change is inevitable allows us to approach life with curiosity rather than fear. We become more resilient and open to new experiences, knowing that challenges are a natural part of the journey. Embracing uncertainty isn't about becoming passive or indifferent. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows us to flow with life rather than constantly fighting against it. The Stoics practiced a concept known as amor fati, which means love of fate. This mindset encourages us to not only accept life's events, but to embrace them fully, seeing them as necessary parts of our journey. Amor fati invites us to welcome everything life brings our way, including hardship, as an integral part of who we are and who we're becoming. Loving your fate doesn't mean you have to enjoy every experience, but it does mean accepting each one as valuable. Instead of resisting or resenting difficulties, view them as opportunities to practice patience, courage, and acceptance. Amor fati is about cultivating a deep appreciation for life's unpredictability, recognizing that every experience contributes to our growth and understanding. My journey with embracing uncertainty has been a long and transformative one. Like many, I used to resist change, clinging to routines and comfort zones as if they could shield me from life's unpredictability. However, this approach often left me feeling anxious and disappointed when things didn't go as planned. Over time, through the study of Stoicism, I began to see uncertainty differently. I learned that change is not something to be feared, but something to be welcomed, even celebrated. One of the most profound shifts in my life came when I faced an unexpected career transition. At first, I felt fear and frustration, but I reminded myself of the Stoic principles I had been learning. I focused on what I could control, my efforts, my skills, and my attitude, and let go of what I couldn't control, like market conditions or job offers. I practiced negative visualization, preparing myself for the possibility of a longer job search and accepting that it might take time to find a new path. By doing this, I was able to approach the situation with resilience and a sense of calm. Embracing uncertainty in this way didn't make the challenge disappear, but it made me stronger in facing it. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true peace doesn't come from avoiding life's uncertainties, but from embracing them with an open heart and mind. When we learn to accept the unpredictable nature of life, we free ourselves from the chains of fear and anxiety, allowing ourselves to live with greater clarity and resilience. Life will always be uncertain, but our response to this uncertainty is within our control. Lesson 8. Cultivating gratitude for what you have. Gratitude is the conscious act of recognizing and valuing what we already have, rather than endlessly pursuing what we don't. This is a core teaching of Stoic philosophy, which champions the idea that true contentment comes not from external acquisitions, but from an internal state of appreciation for life's simple, yet profound, blessings. In a society fixated on more, learning to be grateful for enough is a radical shift, one that can offer a deep, lasting peace. The ancient Stoics, including philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, believed that cultivating gratitude was essential to achieving a fulfilled life. To the Stoics, gratitude was not a passive feeling, but an active practice of acknowledging and appreciating what we have, and understanding that external circumstances do not define our happiness. Instead, they taught that contentment lies in our ability to perceive value in the things we often take for granted: our health, relationships, daily comforts, and even our struggles. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was once a slave, taught that happiness does not come from external sources, but from within. He believed that we should want what we already have, and that this perspective would free us from the constant desire for more. He wrote, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This profound, yet simple principle encourages us to shift our focus away from what is missing to what is present in our lives. By doing so, we foster a mindset of sufficiency rather than scarcity. The Stoics believed in daily reflection as a way to center themselves and live with purpose. To cultivate gratitude, begin and end each day by reflecting on the things you're thankful for. This could be as simple as appreciating a comfortable bed, a warm cup of coffee, or the love of a friend or family member. In the morning, think about the people and opportunities that make your life meaningful. At night, review the day's events and acknowledge even the small moments of joy or growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, practiced gratitude through journaling. He wrote reminders to himself about the blessings in his life, a practice that grounded him and helped him appreciate each day's gifts. Adopting a similar routine, whether through journaling or quiet reflection, can help you build a habit of gratitude that brings a sense of peace and clarity to your life. Gratitude isn't just an internal experience. It can also be shared. Make it a habit to express gratitude to the people who add value to your life, whether it's through a kind word, a thoughtful message, or a small gesture. Let them know that you appreciate them. This practice not only strengthens your relationships, but also reinforces your sense of gratitude. Think of a colleague who helped you with a project, a friend who listened when you needed to talk, or a family member who made you feel loved. Take a moment to acknowledge their kindness. Seneca emphasized the importance of showing gratitude to others, noting that no man is more cheated than the selfish man who misses out on the joy that comes from appreciating others. Gratitude shared is gratitude multiplied, as it enriches both the giver and the receiver. In our quest for more, we often overlook the small everyday comforts that bring us joy and ease. Stoic philosophy teaches us to be mindful of these small blessings, from a warm blanket to a beautiful sunset. Each day, make a conscious effort to notice and savor these moments. The taste of your favorite food, the laughter of a loved one, or a peaceful walk in nature. These are the moments that bring richness to our lives. By developing an awareness of these small comforts, you shift your focus from what is missing to what is present. The Stoics believe that by recognizing these simple pleasures, we can cultivate a sense of contentment that doesn't rely on grand achievements or material possessions. This shift in focus reminds us that happiness isn't something we acquire. It's something we cultivate. One of the hallmarks of Stoic philosophy is the belief that challenges can be reframed as opportunities for growth. When faced with difficulties, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" This mindset allows you to find gratitude even in adversity. If you're experiencing stress at work, consider it as an opportunity to build resilience or develop new skills. If you're dealing with a personal setback, recognize it as a chance to cultivate patience or empathy. By viewing challenges as opportunities, you turn obstacles into stepping stones for personal growth. Gratitude for life's lessons, even when they're tough, is a powerful way to build inner strength and peace. For a long time, I found myself caught in the trap of wanting more, constantly seeking the next achievement, possession, or recognition. While these pursuits offered fleeting moments of satisfaction, they never provided a lasting sense of peace. It wasn't until I began practicing gratitude daily that I started to feel a profound shift. By consciously acknowledging what I already had, health, supportive relationships, a roof over my head, I discovered a deep sense of contentment that I had never experienced before. One of the most transformative practices for me was negative visualization. I would spend a few moments each day imagining the loss of something or someone I valued. This practice might sound unsettling, but it brought an unexpected peace. Instead of feeling anxious about potential loss, I felt a renewed appreciation for the present. I began to see each day as a gift, rather than taking it for granted. This simple shift has profoundly impacted my life, helping me find happiness in the everyday. By cultivating gratitude daily, we nurture a sense of completeness that is not dependent on external circumstances. So, take a moment today to reflect on what you are grateful for. Begin each day with an appreciation for life's small blessings. Acknowledge the people who enrich your journey and find meaning even in your challenges. By choosing gratitude, we open ourselves to a life of contentment, peace, and purpose. A life where enough is not just a word, but a profound realization. Lesson 9. Valuing inner strength over external validation. It's all too easy to get caught up in seeking approval from others. Social media likes, workplace praise, or social circles all feed our desire to be seen, valued, and validated. But what if we could find our sense of worth from within, rather than relying on others' opinions? Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength and contentment come from within ourselves, not from external validation. By focusing on our own internal values and self-worth, we gain resilience against criticism, become less reactive to social pressures, and ultimately live more authentically. The ancient Stoics, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, believed that the key to a fulfilled life lies in developing a strong sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on the opinions of others. They emphasized that true freedom comes when we are no longer slaves to others' approval. Epictetus, who was born a slave and rose to become a respected philosopher, emphasized that we must want only what is our own. This means we should value our own actions, thoughts, and character over the opinions or judgments of others. Stoicism encourages us to focus on developing virtues, wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice, and to find our sense of self-worth in how well we embody these principles rather than in the fluctuating approval of society. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, also wrote about the importance of self-approval in his personal journal, Meditations. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. This simple yet profound observation captures the contradiction that often rules our lives. We claim to value ourselves, yet we let the world dictate how we should feel about ourselves. The Stoics believe that we must turn this around by finding contentment in our own values, regardless of outside approval or criticism. Seeking external validation can lead to a cycle of stress, insecurity, and unhappiness. When we rely on others to feel good about ourselves, we become vulnerable to their opinions, judgments, and biases. If our self-worth depends on external approval, we're constantly in a state of anxiety, wondering if we're measuring up. We're more likely to feel hurt by criticism, overly proud of praise, and anxious about maintaining our status in the eyes of others. This need for validation can be exhausting, leading to self-doubt and an endless chase for external praise that can never truly fulfill us. When we seek external approval, we also risk compromising our values. In the pursuit of acceptance, we may conform to societal norms, compromise our beliefs, or avoid speaking up out of fear of rejection. This path distances us from who we truly are and leads to a life that is less authentic and fulfilling. By relying on external validation, we let others control our lives, sacrificing our own sense of purpose and self-respect in the process. Cultivating inner strength and valuing our own approval leads to a profound sense of freedom and peace. When we rely on internal validation, we are better able to maintain our sense of self-worth, even when facing criticism, rejection, or judgment. By knowing our own values and acting in alignment with them, we find a solid foundation that external forces can't shake. This inner strength enables us to stay calm in the face of criticism, because we know that our worth doesn't depend on others' opinions. Moreover, developing self-approval fosters resilience. When we're no longer dependent on others for validation, we're more capable of navigating challenges with a clear mind. We can make decisions that align with our true values rather than ones designed to appease others. This resilience empowers us to set boundaries, to pursue paths that genuinely fulfill us, and to stand firm in our convictions, regardless of others' reactions. The Stoics believe that a life of virtue and inner strength brings a level of peace that external approval can never achieve. Developing a sense of self-worth that doesn't rely on external validation is not easy, but it's achievable with consistent practice and reflection. Identify your core values. One of the first steps to building inner strength is to identify what truly matters to you. Take some time to reflect on your values. What do you stand for? What principles guide your actions and decisions? Defining your core values gives you a framework for self-approval that doesn't depend on others' opinions. For example, if integrity and kindness are your core values, you can find validation in embodying these qualities daily, regardless of whether others acknowledge it. By identifying and living by your values, you develop a stable sense of self-worth that isn't swayed by external praise or criticism. Practice self-reflection regularly. Stoics believed in the power of self-reflection to cultivate a strong and grounded self. Set aside time each day, perhaps in the evening, to reflect on your actions, thoughts, and decisions. Ask yourself, did I act according to my values today? Or did I let others' opinions influence my decisions? Self-reflection helps you identify moments when you may have sought validation externally, allowing you to make adjustments and recenter on your own values. Regular self-reflection not only helps you recognize patterns, but also allows you to celebrate your progress. You start to see your worth through the lens of your actions and growth, rather than fleeting opinions. This habit strengthens your inner approval by reinforcing a clear sense of your values. Accept that not everyone will approve of you. No matter how virtuous or well-intentioned you are, not everyone will understand or agree with you. Accepting this truth can be liberating. The Stoics taught that others' opinions are out of our control and that trying to please everyone is a futile and exhausting endeavor. Instead, focus on acting according to your own principles, knowing that true contentment comes from within. The next time you face criticism, remind yourself of this Stoic teaching. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I do my duty, other things trouble me not." By prioritizing your own duty to yourself and your values, you can remain steady in the face of judgment and embrace the freedom that comes from self-approval. Focus on personal growth, rather than approval. When you shift your focus from seeking approval to personal growth, you redirect your energy toward a meaningful and fulfilling life. Instead of worrying about what others think, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Ask yourself, what areas of my life can I improve? What skills do I want to develop? When you commit to growth, you find validation in your own progress, creating a lasting sense of accomplishment that doesn't rely on outside praise. For example, if you're working on being more patient or developing a new skill, find joy in the process rather than the recognition. Progress becomes its own reward. By valuing personal growth over approval, you build a resilient sense of self-worth that's independent of others' opinions. Reframe criticism as an opportunity for self-improvement. The Stoics viewed criticism as a tool for growth, not as a source of hurt. Instead of seeing criticism as a personal attack, reframe it as a chance to improve. When someone offers feedback, ask yourself if there's truth to their words. If there is, use it as an opportunity to grow. If not, let it go without internalizing it. This practice allows you to view criticism objectively, focusing on what serves your growth rather than reacting emotionally. By seeing feedback as a way to align more closely with your own values, you reduce the power of criticism over your self-worth and reinforce your inner strength. For much of my life, I struggled with a need for approval. I found myself constantly adapting to others' expectations, compromising my values to fit in, and fearing rejection. It was exhausting, and it left me feeling uncertain about who I truly was. Over time, as I delved into Stoic philosophy, I realized that my self-worth didn't need to be defined by others' opinions. Instead, I could find strength in my own values and principles. I began practicing daily self-reflection and focusing on personal growth rather than external praise. One of the most profound lessons I learned was to accept that I wouldn't always please everyone. This realization brought an unexpected sense of freedom and clarity. Today, I strive to live according to my values, recognizing that my worth isn't something that can be given or taken by others. This shift has allowed me to live more authentically, finding contentment within myself rather than chasing it from others. Lesson 10. Developing emotional detachment. Life is full of challenges, and we often find ourselves reacting impulsively, swayed by emotions that cloud our judgment and pull us away from a sense of calm and clarity. In Stoic philosophy, emotional detachment doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring emotions. Rather, it involves observing our emotions without letting them control us. It's about creating a mental space between feeling and action, a separation that allows us to navigate life's turbulence with resilience and wisdom. Stoicism teaches that much of our suffering is self-inflicted, not because of events themselves, but because of our emotional reactions to them. When we allow emotions to dictate our actions, we become vulnerable to external influences. The Stoics believed that our emotions are natural responses, but that we have the power to choose how we react to them. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In other words, while we cannot control the events that happen around us, we can control our inner response. This is the essence of emotional detachment, learning to view our emotions as visitors rather than rulers. Emotional detachment doesn't imply indifference or a lack of feeling. Instead, it means cultivating a mindset that allows us to observe our emotions with clarity, seeing them as separate from our true selves. The Stoics saw emotions as temporary and fleeting, like clouds passing through the sky. Rather than getting caught up in these emotional clouds, Stoic practitioners strive to observe them with a calm awareness, letting them come and go without affecting their inner stability. In today's world, where we are constantly exposed to stressors from work, relationships, and social media, our emotions can easily become overwhelming. When we lack emotional detachment, we may find ourselves reacting impulsively, getting hurt by criticism, or feeling overwhelmed by others' expectations. This reactivity often leads to regret, poor decisions, and a sense of being out of control. By practicing emotional detachment, we develop an inner anchor, a steady center that remains unshaken by external chaos. Emotional detachment empowers us to face criticism, disappointment, and setbacks with a calm perspective, allowing us to make decisions based on reason rather than fleeting emotions. When we detach emotionally, we gain the freedom to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively, which in turn helps us maintain our sense of peace and well-being, even in challenging situations. Developing emotional detachment is a skill that requires practice, patience, and self-awareness. Practice the pause. One of the simplest and most effective ways to cultivate emotional detachment is to practice pausing before reacting. When faced with a challenging situation or a strong emotional reaction, take a deep breath and give yourself a moment to pause. This small delay creates a mental gap between the emotion you're feeling and your potential response. For example, if someone criticizes you at work, your immediate reaction might be defensiveness or anger. By pausing, you allow yourself to process the emotion without reacting impulsively. This pause creates the opportunity to choose a response that aligns with your values and long-term well-being rather than your temporary emotional state. Observe your emotions without judgment. Stoics believed that emotions are a natural part of the human experience, but they also taught that we don't have to let emotions define us. When you feel a strong emotion, try observing it without attaching a label of good or bad. Imagine yourself as a neutral observer, noticing the emotion and acknowledging its presence without judgment. For instance, if you're feeling anxious about a big presentation, observe the anxiety as if it were a wave passing through you. Instead of letting it overwhelm you, acknowledge it by saying to yourself, "I notice that I'm feeling anxious." This approach allows you to create distance from the emotion, reminding yourself that while you feel anxiety, you are not defined by it. By observing your emotions in this detached way, you cultivate a sense of calm and self-control. Reframe your perspective. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our emotions are often rooted in our perceptions of events rather than the events themselves. By changing our perspective, we can often change our emotional response. When faced with a challenging situation, try asking yourself, is there another way to view this? Or, what can I learn from this experience? For instance, if you receive unexpected criticism, instead of feeling hurt or defensive, try viewing it as an opportunity for growth. By reframing the situation, you transform it from a personal attack into a learning experience. This shift in perspective allows you to approach the situation with curiosity rather than reactivity, fostering emotional detachment and resilience. Visualize yourself as an observer. One powerful Stoic technique to develop emotional detachment is to visualize yourself as an observer in your own life. Imagine that you are watching yourself from a distance, like a character in a play. This mental exercise helps you step back from the immediacy of your emotions, allowing you to view your feelings with a sense of objectivity and clarity. For example, if you're feeling overwhelmed by stress, take a moment to imagine watching yourself from an outside perspective. Notice the emotions you're experiencing, but view them with compassion and detachment. This visualization reminds you that your emotions are part of your experience, but they do not define you. By creating this psychological distance, you empower yourself to respond thoughtfully and maintain your inner stability. Reflect on impermanence. Stoics believe that all things are temporary, including our emotions. Practicing impermanence, or the understanding that emotions will pass, is a powerful tool for emotional detachment. When you're experiencing a strong emotion, remind yourself that it is only temporary, and that in time, it will fade. This understanding helps you avoid becoming overly attached to any particular feeling, knowing that emotions are like waves that rise and fall. When you recognize the transient nature of emotions, you become less likely to let them dictate your actions. Instead, you cultivate a calm awareness, riding the wave of each emotion without getting swept away by it. Learning to practice emotional detachment has been one of the most transformative journeys in my life. Like many, I used to find myself deeply affected by criticism, setbacks, and the opinions of others. I would react impulsively, often regretting my actions later. Through studying Stoic philosophy, I began to realize that my emotions, while powerful, didn't have to control me. I could observe them, learn from them, and respond intentionally. One of the most effective tools for me has been the practice of observing my emotions without judgment. Whenever I feel a strong reaction, I pause and acknowledge the emotion without labeling it as bad or good. I remind myself that it is temporary, that it will pass, and that I have the power to choose my response. This simple practice has helped me maintain a sense of calm even in difficult situations, allowing me to navigate challenges with a clear mind. Embracing emotional detachment has not only brought me inner peace, but also empowered me to live more authentically. I'm less reactive, more resilient, and better able to make choices that align with my true values rather than fleeting feelings. This journey has taught me that emotional detachment is not about numbing oneself, but about embracing life with clarity and wisdom. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Let's strive to live better, more respectful lives. Until next time, stay strong, stay stoic.